it's the M.L.M for the Soul channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. And some people I thank have inspired me. I hope they can inspire you as well. And I will have links below this video to their sites. They have Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Alon Anava, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Rav Daniel Asore, Nisan Baruch Black, David Sachs, Rabbi Michael Skobach, Jews for Judaism, and Rabbi Yaron Reuven. And also, if you've never checked out my channel before, I will have a link right below this video to my first video that explains what M.L.M for the Soul stands for, what it means, and what I am doing. So this week, I'm taking this from this wonderful book that I've used many times before called Lilmod, and it's different insights and teachings of the weekly Sedra, and I will have a link below to this book as well, so you could see if you can get it yourself. And so this is going back to Parashat Hazina, which we read a few weeks ago, because there was an interesting topic in here, and I call this one Forgetfulness, Yes and No. So what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you right now. So reading along from here, it says that Hashem in His great mercy gave mankind the ability to forget past events. When someone uses this ability properly, he will forget about past indignities caused him by others and will forgive them for whatever wrongs they have been done to him. So that's the time when forgetfulness is helpful. Also, you know, if someone passes away, you lose a loved one, and at first it's very hard, but eventually you don't forget them, but it's like the pain gets less and less. It's not as strong anymore. So, but what happened was Bnei Israel have often misused this power of forgetting. Instead of allowing themselves to become more merciful towards others, they have allowed themselves to become forgetful of past favors. This is especially true of favors shown them by Hashem. They have forgotten that He defended them in battles and redeemed them from Mitzrayim, and instead turned to other sources of power, such as human armies, science, and money, thereby turning their backs on the, quote, ultimate power, I'd say. It doesn't say quote, but it says in capitals. In doing so, they have taken a heavenly gift and misused it. So there you go. It's like, you know, they see all these miracles, and then, like, you know, like we talk about with the Egel Hazav, they got the Torah, and Hashem gave them this, and then all of a sudden, boom, they go and do something. They forget that they just received something from Hashem directly, you know, Hashem spoke to them. So that's where the problem comes in, is that we start relying on human abilities instead of knowing that Hashem is the ultimate and nobody else can. So there's a story here, I'm just going to paraphrase it, about somebody who was having issues with his debt and not able to pay back to people. So a friend gave him advice that if anyone would come to him, he should act like kooky, you know, nutty, and like his mind isn't right, and so that he wouldn't have to pay them back. So he did this, and it actually worked. And then one day, the person who had given him the advice came back for the repayment of his loan, and he did the same thing. And then the companion said to him, "You're a fool, because I was the one who gave you that advice to begin with, and now you're trying to use that against me." So that's saying that, so using this parable, the Dubna Maggid uses this to translate the pasuk, Tzur Yolodcha Tesei Tatzliach Kel Mechol Lecha. So as follows: Hashem created you with the power of forgetfulness, but you have used that power to forget Him, Chas v'shalom. So that's where we have to remember. So if we owe the gift of forgetting to Hashem, then we most certainly should not be two-faced as to use it against Him. So then, so that's a very, very important chizuk, like, you know, Mussar, to know, like, we don't forget Hashem. He gave us the power to forget, but we're not supposed to forget Him. And so the next section here I want to read too a little bit, because it kind of ties in with this. So this section was called Prosperity and Rebellion. So it says, when Bnei Israel were enslaved in Mitzrayim, they accepted Hashem's leadership most willingly, and when they were attacked by their enemies, they pleaded for His protection. Yet when they became established in their homeland, when they later gained prosperity in Galus, they turned to other gods, so to speak. They had, quote, grown fat, tasted a bit of affluence and esteem, and then they rebelled. They no longer acknowledged the original source of their success, and they experimented with other deities. They joined other religions, worshipped materialism and nationalism, placed their faith in human leaders, and looked to scientists for the answers to the universe's puzzles. Yet in the long run, the results were always identical. The attraction of other gods proved to be a mirage, and the Jews were faced with disaster. So every time they turned to other things that were not, quote, connected with the Torah, in the end it came back to you know, came back on them, so to speak. I was trying to think of the expression. You know, it hurt them in the end. They thought that they were like siding with these other people, and in the end they you know, it came as a disaster. It was bad for them in the end, because they weren't really their friends, you know. In the end they never are. So again, I'm going to paraphrase the story here. They mentioned about a famous lion tamer who had a youngster like helping him out, and they would tour. And then what happened was the assistant started to let the success go to his head, of course, which usually happens, unfortunately. So he decided to not work with this lion tamer anymore and start his own show, and that he didn't need his guidance anymore. So he went off to do his debut performance, and he didn't even mention his teacher's name, and he wanted to do this all on his own. So what happened was he didn't realize that the teacher had a way to control the lions naturally, and they were afraid of him. So, but this fear didn't carry over to this younger assistant. So when the lions looked at the young man who was cracking the whip at them, they actually charged at him and mauled him. But you could say, Baruch Hashem, the lion tamer was in the audience, and he actually was able to calm them down and barely save this person. So in relation to this, when Jews become materially successful, they sometimes feel they no longer have to rely on Hashem's mercy and kindness. But they are soon brought back to reality as they find that all their wealth does not protect them from their enemies. It is only when Hashem is there to guard them that they survive. So just like, with the Holocaust and the Nazis, they were all affluent. They figure, that money will save us. We're here. We're becoming like Europeans. But in the end, it backfired on them. That's the word I was looking for. It, in the end, didn't do them any good. They have to rely on Hashem. So that's the most important thing we have to remember. That we have to know that He's the only one. Hashem is the only one that takes care of us. He's the only one that protects us. He's the only one that will save us no matter what. So we have to always go back to that. And especially in this time when we're dealing with the coming of Mashiach, speedily in our days, amen, we're very close, that's the end, the only one. It's like the expression goes, Ein al mi l'smach el al avinu Meshamayim. There's only one to rely on. There's only one. Like we say, Ein od milvado. So I want to just say in closing that I hope you will remember not to forget Hashem and forget other things that won't serve you. The important thing is to serve Hashem properly, and that we should all merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of our final and everlasting Beis HaMikdash. Amen. And thanks for watching.